Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock.
My name is Danny.
And we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Everybody, welcome back to Home Dad Chat. I am very excited to get a hangout tonight. Just me and Danny. We haven't had just the two of us for a little while, so it's going to be pretty exciting just talking, and we've got some fun things to discuss. Along with that, this is the 48th episode that we are recording currently, so two more and we'll hit the big 5-0, which I'm excited about. You excited about that, Danny?
I am. And I think that's according to my calendar, and it could be wrong, that's our 1 year anniversary too.
You're correct. It is. It also falls on our 1 year anniversary, which I didn't think it was going to happen that way, but just the way that sort of time off and everything else played out, yeah, it's going to land exactly on that. So, which also means too that we've only actually missed 2 episodes for the whole year.
Yeah.
So
we're pros, man.
I'm feeling very good about that. That's
Not gonna leave the dads hanging. We're here. We get here.
Hey, I mean, honestly, that's some pretty good consistency for the first year. If you only miss 2 with all the things that we do in life,
right? There's so many things that can happen, did happen, especially with the convention and everything else.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just a lot of
moving.
Yeah. We don't talk about that though. No, that's fine.
But yeah, no. So that's going to be exciting. Kind of coming up to things. We'll talk later about a couple upcoming episode stuff to tease everybody on that. But I mean, it's starting to get cold. It's getting cold down here. It's supposed to actually hit freezing temperatures. They told us to bring the plants in, because if you don't, whatever's left outside is going to it's going to be what they call a kill freeze and kill plants. So my wife is like, I got to get my plants inside.
Yeah.
My dining room is probably going to turn into a jungle by later tonight.
Mm-hmm. That's where your greenhouse is going to be.
Pretty much.
Put in some of those LED sunlight lights and keep your plants alive.
But I heard that you guys got to experience something up there. You and the kids
got just a few little snow flurries. I was outside taking down the Halloween decorations because we didn't have a whole lot up, so I was taking them down just that next day. And being from Georgia, I don't know. I just don't really know what to look for, I guess. So, the clouds probably could have told me if I was smarter or more experienced. But it started falling. I'm like, wonder what that is. Maybe because I was taking down spider webbing. So I'm like, well, I must be tearing off some little pieces. And then I stopped and I looked for it and it disappeared. Like it wasn't there. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going, it was something else. And then I saw it again. Then I saw it again. And then the kids came running in, even the big kids. My 15-year-old wasn't terribly impressed, but my 12-year-old even was like, wow, we saw snow today. It was snowing. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I am ready. And
then didn't you post about it on Facebook too?
Of course. Yes.
Did you make enemies instantly with the people from the north at that point? Were they ready to send you to the black gate?
A few people I might have triggered, let's say a person or two that were like, don't jinx us. I'm like, I don't know what I could do to make this snow season better or worse, but I just want it. I just wanted to be here and let's go.
I saw that and I waited and I thought I saw Greg Clapp maybe post something. I was like, oh, is he going to drive over there?
No, Greg was really good actually. And I really appreciate him because he said, well, take a look at your local area for sled hills and stuff, places to go sledding and snowboarding. And I'm like, I mean, I kind of figured I'd have to go to like a state park, but no, basically right downtown, they just switch over. There's an ice skating rink going to be, I don't know, not right now, but when they're up, they're going to have an ice skating rink. They're going to have a snowboard slope, and then they're going to have a toboggan slope. And it's just like, this is so cool. I'm ready. I'm really excited.
Well, the thing that you guys didn't see when you were here in town was if you would have went down to the square in downtown, they were putting up the ice rink that's down there usually. So they already have it up.
Cool.
Because they try to get everything ready. I believe they open up like usually the week before Thanksgiving or something like that. It's a big thing to go down there and go ice skating. And we actually haven't taken the kids, and I probably won't get to again this year just because of my arm. But yeah, they actually do a have you ever heard of broom ball? You ever heard of that? So broom ball is like hockey with brooms and like a kind of like a soccer ball or some sort of like little ball.
Okay.
But
yeah, I got you.
They play some leagues like that, and then actually they get all the mascots from all the different teams that are around the city together, and they do a mascot game. So I mean, there's just so many.
I would like
there are
to see
so many.
that.
Yeah. Well, depending on how I'm feeling and when it hits, if it's something where like we can go and take the kids to it, I would love to go down and actually watch it, because I think it would be so much fun. Because we have so many mascots here in the area with all the different professional teams and college teams and stuff. So who knows? We'll see how it all plays out. But I'm excited for the colder weather. It's not too bad here in town compared to what, I grew up with. So, but I'm excited for it, but I'm also, I'm going to basically be confined to my house for the majority of it.
Yep. And it is for the best.
It is. It is for the best. And I've been trying to wrap my head around it.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So it really, it's a story that falls really well with the month of November, which is, known for Movember, for men's health, men's mental health. And I had a few years ago, I had an incident where I had a pop that took place in my shoulder, and I went and got it checked out and did some PT, and didn't really seem to help much. So when I went to a yearly exam with the doctor, I was talking with him a while ago, and he was like, you really might want to go get that checked out further. And so I scheduled an MRI and got things looked at, and I ended up having 3 tears in my right shoulder.
Ouch.
So yeah. So basically, I've got a rotator cuff that's going to get fixed and 2 labrum tears in my shoulder. So it's pretty extensive, but like you said, it is all for the best. It's one of those things where I think like sometimes as guys, we're like, I can muscle through it. I can do this. Is no big deal or whatever. But not being able to pick up a coffee cup without wincing from time to time, that sucks. That's when you at that point, like, swallow your pride and go get your shit fixed. Like, seriously, like, and that's what it's really come down to. So, so Thursday morning, I'm going to have surgery, and I'm going to be in a sling for 4 to 6 weeks. And my wife, works for an amazing company that's given her the time off, paid through FMLA. And she'll be able to she'll be able to be here and help me and be able to get the kids where they need to go. And it's a huge blessing. I used to work for that company too, and they just take really good care of their families there. And so, so that's what I'll be doing. I'll get my sling off like 4 days before Christmas. But I'll still have PT and stuff to go through until February after that. But that's what's going on with me.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, and I've said it before, but I want to say it while we're recording, that I applaud you for going ahead and getting it done. I think you said this is your first surgery, right?
This is my first surgery. Yeah.
And I have never had a surgery. So I am with you with that thought of, ooh, what's this going to be like? What's going to happen? There's a lot of just natural anxiety about it, really, or worry even. So that's one more reason to put it off. And it's so much easier to play hurt, I mean, it's just so much easier to go, nah, I can handle this. Like, it's a little bit of, it twinges every now, when the rains come and I can feel it, my bursitis or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
And you have things like that as you grow and as you age, especially going into, when you get a little bit older, middle age and what have you, there are things that after all those miles, things just kind of twinge a little bit when the weather changes or whatever. I really do applaud you for going ahead and taking care of it.
Thanks, man.
Because that's one, you got to take time off. 2, it's the anxiety of it. But 3, it's that quote unquote man card, it's that I should be able to just keep going. I don't need help. I'm fine. and the realization that the realization that we as men do need help sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially with medical stuff. And
well, even too from the standpoint of, I don't want to miss out on things with my kids, like if I let it go, I mean, playing catch with my kids or throwing a Frisbee with them, like that hurts. Like there's a lot of pain that comes with that. And I don't need all that. Like,
right.
And so, yeah, it's stuff like that where it's just not worth living with the pain when I can just, get it fixed. So
just get it fixed. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and
that's
it's not going to get better.
No, it's not. It's going to get worse.
Like, exactly. Your kids are going to get bigger. They're going to be heavier. There's just a lot more to deal with.
Yeah. And I've got a dog that's that's going to be about 50 pounds when it's all said and done. She already drags me around anyway. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad.
But yeah, so all that to say, I'm getting situated for that. So the other thing too, like you were talking about, like, this is my first surgery. So having a conversation with the surgical team, being that I'm not redheaded, but I have a red beard and my mom is a redhead, I was really concerned about like anesthesia and some things. And I already have issues with that when I go to the dentist. And so that's probably the biggest thing that I've had some anxiety about, because I'm like, how is that all going to play out? Because there is medical evidence that shows that redheads have a more difficult time with those kind of things. So I've made that known and voiced that with them. And so I feel like, they're taking that into great consideration, and they're going to take good care of me. So this is also the same team that does work on like the professional athletes here in town. So like we're talking like, top grade A people. I mean, Joey Votto, other pitchers from the Reds, some of the Bengals players, they've all gone there. I believe it's where Joe Burrow went through to do his knee stuff. So, I mean, I'm going to be well taken care of.
You're going to be in good hands for sure.
For sure. So, but yeah, so Movember is here, and I've done some participation in it in years past, but I know that you're participating in it this year. I saw that you signed up, and we have an actual like group for dads to join up to. It's a team dad that's been going for a while. What is it that you are doing for Movember this year?
Well, I'm going to mainly focus on promoting awareness. I looked at it at first and I'm like, I can't grow facial hair very well. It's not going to, it'll be thin. You won't really see it. It comes in, but you really can't see it, and it doesn't look good. And I did decide though that I talked to Marnie, and she was like, if this is what you want to do it. So I am going to shave off my mustache and my goatee and just reshave. Like, this has been 2 or 3 days. There's nothing even there. I mean, a cat could lick off what's right there. Right. But I'm still going to do it. And that is part of it. And then I was already planning on for November, just personally getting back in shape to begin my journey back to being a little bit more fit. So I already was planning on, okay, I'm going to go walk every day, go down to the YMCA. I'm going to walk for like the first week. I'm going to walk and then work out, dumbbells, machines, whatever, depends on what they've got and what I'm, what works for me. So the workout thing of it, but then really more than anything else, I've been talking about mental health. And that's really I think if any of those 3 things, like exercise and facial hair and mental health, I'm probably the one that, mental health would be the one that I would know most about. The other 2 are kind of like, I don't know, I'll call a guy and see if he can, I'll get a personal trainer, I guess. I don't know. It's not that bad, but it's really not like what I would consider myself in any way educated or skilled or experienced with. But with mental health, that's been something that I've been working with, I guess, my own mental health for 30 years or more.
Yeah. So and you're sharing that, you're kind of sharing those thoughts in like kind of a story form through like a video. Like I thought I saw you post something the past couple of days. Yep. Was day 1 just like, hey, this is what I'm doing? Or what was, I didn't really get to watch it.
That'd be way too organized for me, man. I really kind of decide to do stuff for me personally. It's like spur of the moment. I have to make myself do things for myself. And this is one of those things that I want to do for myself. I'm really trying to boost the signal about mental health, that it's okay to talk about it, that it's okay to have emotions, to just be who you are. We're all human beings and we have them. And, the big thing I think for me was, for the videos first, before I run off on a tangent, like I always do. But, I decided just to tell my story, and anybody that I made it public, so anybody that wants to watch it can, but it does have trigger warnings on it. The first one does go into how I got PTSD from childhood trauma. And I use some very strong wording in that. And I'm not talking cuss words or adult words, but it's definitely something you want to go into knowing that you're going to talk about stuff that's kind of unsettling. And then the one today was about suicide. The numbers for suicides in America for men is staggering. Staggering. I mean, it's just, I think it was like 145,000 in 2019, a little over 145,000, and almost 70% of them were middle-aged white men.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was like 70%. And that is a huge amount of people. And then I've also been learning more about it's called Till Valhalla, the Till Valhalla project. And if you see the black bands, Grady made me cry. Gave me his. You one? No, he gave me his.
Oh, he gave you his.
Yeah, I'm like, I was going to get one of those. And he pulled it right off, and he goes, "Here you go, man." I'm like, "No, man, no, don't give me that, man." And I'm bawling at this. I'm like, "No, you cannot give me this thing." But he did anyway, of course, because and he's a sergeant, so I've got no rank, so I can't argue with him. But yeah, and it hit me hard, but I started looking into it, and and it's 22 a day is what it is, but there's an average of between 18 and 22 American soldiers take their own lives daily.
Yeah.
And it's just staggering, so
it's wild.
What I want to do is to talk about it, and so I'm doing that through videos, because I think people would hear it more if they can hear me say it, So that's what I'm doing.
So while you're saying that, I was thinking, so I have a buddy that I would love to get on the show. He's not a stay-at-home dad, but he works out of Indianapolis with veterans who have PTSD, which he himself also has. I think maybe I've talked about him before on the show, but he recently got to actually present to a group of police officers in Indianapolis about how to interact with someone who is going through an episode of PTSD in like a critical situation, and how to address things and how not to do things.
Yeah.
But I mean, after we have our other guests or whatever, I wouldn't mind, like, at the end of the month getting him on, because I would love to be able to hear some of that. So I'll reach out to him. Yeah. But yeah, you're talking about, like, the amount of guys who go through, who commit suicide and that kind of thing. I think it's very interesting that I'm hoping this is happening, I believe, at the beginning of the year or somewhere around there. They just changed it up to where a lot of places now are going to be using your area code when you make phone calls. So like, for instance, like here, it's like 513 is the area code for the area. And then you punch in your number. You didn't have to do that before. If you lived in the city and you were just calling somebody at the same kind of phone, you didn't have to do that. They changed that up, and they've been doing that nationwide because they're getting ready to launch the new suicide hotline. Because for the longest time, it's always been like this big 1-800 number. And they're actually going to get it down to, I believe, like 3 digits, like, or, kind of like the whole.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That was something that, I was trying to remember. I believe that was actually put in during the Trump era. I believe they were working on it at that point, and I believe it got put in before he left. But it was just this awesome thing where they were just trying to make it easier for people to feel more comfortable calling a number like that. So so I'm excited for that. I'm waiting for that to fully roll out, but they did around here change it up to where if you call like a number and you only use 7 digits, it's going to tell you like, nope, you need to use the other 3 as well. So it's a full 10 digits that you're calling. And a lot of people have had to change numbers in their phones because of it.
That's
but I think but I just thought that was a great step in the right direction towards hopefully helping to curb these numbers that are just so high.
Yeah. Yeah. And anything you can do to make it easier. Absolutely. I mean, and also trying to remember a 1-800 number, even if it's, 1-888-888-888-888. Okay. I still have to punch in 10 digits or 11 digits.
Right.
And when you're in that position that you're calling for help, you have probably the most anxiety that you could ever have as a human being, because so many of us do not want to reach out, do not want to ask for help. Even if it's help that we know is there, you know, that this is what this is for. It's coming. A lot of people still kind of balk at it and go, no, I got 7 digits. I'm not going to do the other one. I'm done. I can handle this. I can do it. So if it's like I don't know, like a 411, 911 type, just a 3-digit, that'd be way easier.
I believe that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a 3-digit number of some kind or something like that. I haven't seen the article in a while to remember what it was, but yeah. So good things happening in for our nation as far as giving folks the ability to have a place like that. And too, with the VAs sometimes not holding up their end of the things for some of our soldiers, at least this is a way for them to be able to get contact as well. So so that's pretty exciting. But Movember for itself, like, so also along with, so you're working out, you're doing some different things there. Are you raising funds as well? Because I know a lot of guys usually are trying to raise some money. As a whole, I know last year that dad's group raised like $25,000 in a month. Like, it was insane.
That's awesome.
And it was just all the guys that were in there together. And you know, I was looking at it, you know, you think about it, you get all these friends on your like Facebook account or whatever it is. And if you like put out, I think I did this last year where I was like, if everybody just gave like even $2, like, you know, like $2, like I'd have, you know, there'd be a huge amount of money that would come into my goal or whatever.
Right.
You know, even if someone did $5 or whatever it is. And so, so that's what's been really cool, is to see the amount of people who jump on board. And to like, sometimes because you can donate, and you can also say like, I'm donating for this reason, and actually put like a bit of like a message behind it to the people. And I received some awesome encouragement last year. But what's your goal this year?
Well, I had no idea where to go. So they had on Movember, they had, or like what number to put out there. So they had it's like, let's say it's 25, 50, 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. $1,000. Because I look at it and I'm like, okay, I don't want to put a goal I only want to make, I say, I don't want to have, $25 to this foundation would be amazing. Buy them a cup of coffee, make it $5. Everybody has benefited if it's just $5 that you give, right? But if I want to put a number on it, I want to put it high enough to where I look like I have a goal, a stretch goal. I can reach that. I can push hard. Maybe I don't make it. Maybe I do. But if I do, awesome. You know, but if I put it at like $100, okay, I got $100 the first week. You know, somebody got really, 4 or 5 people came in and gave like $20 each. Huge. Okay. I met my goal. Dang it. So I wanted to make sure it was probably higher than I could get. So I did $1,000.
And it gives you the ability to encourage people like, hey, like you just hit this mark. All right. Like, you know,
halfway there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And for me too, it's really hard for me to even consider asking people for money. It goes back to, kind of self-sufficiency, and you don't want to ask for help. You don't want to beg. Nobody wants to beg, but coming around to it for me, I know how good I feel when I give somebody a little bit, whatever it is, time, money, energy, something that they needed, guy needed a bike or whatever. We had a great example earlier in the week of a guy that gave someone a bicycle because they needed it. And it's an amazing thing, right? So that feeling that I get, I want everybody else to have that feeling too. Yeah. And that's where I'm coming from. Even if it's just like, say, $5, think about you're buying me a cup of coffee, $5. Well, $5 kind of high for a cup of coffee for Danny, but for like Starbucks or whatever, I'm sure it's cheap.
That might be a couple
of cups of coffee. You bought me a donut and a cup of coffee. Okay. I look like a donut guy. I'm a donut guy. But just so that it's just enough to where you can give someone and you helped. Yeah. And I think people can realize, just if they watch the videos or just hear me talk about it, read my posts or whatever, how very important this is to me. Yeah. This is probably as close to my heart as my wife and children. This is something that I really feel that I would not be here today if I hadn't had people that helped me, that helped me talk and helped me realize that it's okay and to have these feelings and what they mean. And I want all men to feel that. I want all men to understand that. And it means that much to me. So, we'll see. Again, I'm not, I I'd rather aim high, shoot for the stars, end up on the moon, or shoot for the moon, end up in the stars, something like that. However it goes. If you know that adage.
But yeah, no, that's great though, man. That's
where
awesome.
I want to be.
I think that I think that honestly, too often people think to like, oh, someone else will do it type of deal. Like someone else will take care of it. And it's like, you don't have to write a big check, or you don't have to pull out the biggest bill in your wallet type of thing.
Right.
Like
it's not a contest either.
Right. And I think that's the one, it's the one thing. It's like, if you just, oh, like someone's doing this, and, maybe you spur everybody else on, like, hey, I'm going to do $2. Who else is going to match me on that, and keep going and try to, like, there's so many different ways. And two, like, I feel like November is also a great month for just like, showing thankfulness for things and stuff like that. So, hopefully like the team as a whole, like, gets a lot of money involved in it, and it does really well. I know that there's quite a few guys that have signed up for it so far, which has been really neat to see. And there's usually more. I mean, honestly, like if you're hearing this and it's, halfway through the month or whatever, like jump on and do it, like see what you can put together.
Yeah.
Last year I got into a side bet with Ed Lavazio from the board. And we did a competition where I was getting back into running. He had started running. He had lost a bunch of weight over the summer. He looked awesome. And he was just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to run. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like I'll run against you. And we set a goal, which was like 60 miles in a month to run. And basically, I think it came down to doing like a 5K almost like every other day or every day, something like that. It wasn't bad, like, honestly, but it was the fastest person to 60 miles. So even if you finished early, it all had to do with like the time at the end. So adding it all up, I beat him by 2 minutes. And I was ahead of him by like 7 minutes at one point, and he caught up to me. And I just barely crossed the line, 2 minutes ahead of him. And my prize was he sent me like a 6-pack of beer from the New Jersey area, and this really cool wood sign that he said was a joke, but it looked really neat because it was like the shape of New Jersey, and it was like a flag, so like painted like an American flag, so it looked really cool. And I was like, oh, this is really neat. And he's like, I put that in there as a joke. I'm like, but I love it. It's awesome.
That's right. It's awesome.
So it's hanging up in my room beside my Ohio wood sign that I have as well.
Nice.
So nice. But yeah, I mean, just fun stuff like that is what kind of pushes this along. And
and there's so much that you can do this year. I mean, it was probably this way last year as well, but this is the first year really we looked at it. All of the options they have. I mean, one of them that I was looking at is like, just because the word mow is, for your mustache, your mow is
mustache,
whatever. Yeah. And they're like, just why don't you host a moment? I want a moment. What is a moment? And it basically is just get around with your buddies and have that moment be about whether it's, testicular cancer or prostate cancer, if it's mental health, if it's, suicide, whatever it might be, that you have that moment to talk with the other, in our case, probably dads, with the other men, or men and women. What I guess it probably doesn't matter. I shouldn't say that, but whoever you're with, just have that moment with them. And have that little touchstone of, okay, remember when we talked about this? This is something that's still, prevalent and unfortunately very, very constant in our life, and something we can talk about and, maybe help men live longer.
Right. And I love your idea that you had sent me in the text message saying, hey, like, what about doing a moment for the dad lounge? And I think that's great. Like, there's so many conversations that already go on in the dad lounge, but to have a conversation that has a bit of structure behind it and giving guys the ability to talk, which, I mean, most of those guys, they don't really hold much back when they're in there anyway. But just kind of having an actual topic to discuss in a safe environment is just a plus on top of that. I know that you do the mental health check-ins, and I'm sure that there's quite a few moments that take place in there, but I mean, getting around, you got guys that do beer shares, that do bourbon bottle shares and stuff like that, but having that time to just bring that up this month, like if you're going to get together with some people, like if it doesn't matter if it's mixed company or not. Like, I mean, women go through this stuff the same way. And so honestly, like just making an open space where it's like, hey, like we're going to be real for a moment here and give everybody the opportunity to talk. I think that's a beautiful thing. And it might give some people a chance to maybe get some healing where they might not have thought they could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on the other side of it with like prostate cancer, testicular cancer, this is why we need groups. We need a men's group. We need mentors. We need these things that are beyond, you know, what our actually our own father, even great fathers that, you know, loving, amazing fathers sometimes don't talk about these things, you know, where you can have it with you hanging out with your buddies and you can talk about stuff, you know, especially when it comes to mental health. It's something you really don't want to bring up sometimes with your parents because they may be a part of it, you know, or they may have nothing to do with it. But of course, as a loving parent, they're going to think, what did I do? How did, you know, it's going to upset them possibly. Hanging out with your friends. I always liken it as sitting around a campfire. You know, after a while you sit around a campfire and you can just talk about anything. It's just something very open and very, in a way, vulnerable. Just be able to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And things like the Dad Lounge, in my opinion, are huge helps. For the community. I applaud you again, as I have several times, for have pushed that and continued it and be the even keel that kept it going and keep it going for so long.
I can't take all the credit for that. That was a lot of that was my wife, Corey, telling me like, hey, like you need to do this on a regular basis. And so setting it up, she was very much the big support behind it. So and you know how she is. So yeah, a lot of love there in that for sure. I will give one idea out that everybody can steal. Maybe this will help draw some money towards this. But last year, I connected with a local brewery here in Cincinnati and actually ended up getting on the news about it, which was really cool too, because it was like still when they were shutting things down and they were like threatening to like re-shut stuff. It was crazy. But I got in touch with the local brewery. And it just happened to be that this brewery, the manager was a like survivor of testicular cancer. And so when I pitched them the idea, I didn't know that. And they got back to me and they're like, oh my gosh, like our manager is super excited about this. Like this is a personal like thing. And they did a donation night. So a lot of breweries do this too. They have a night where $1 of every pint goes to like a charity. There's quite a few breweries here in Cincinnati that do that. And so they set up their one night for it and was like, hey, like we're going to do this $1. I think we raised like $400 or $500 in one day. Like it was a whole day. Like it wasn't just like a night for like a couple of hours. Like basically when the doors opened at 11 a.m. until they like shut at like 10 o'clock that night, every pint that was sold, $1 went towards Movember. And so that was really cool. So if you've got a brewery nearby and you can get them to do it, that might be a great way to just like bring some more money into your goal.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun last year to do.
Yeah, I bet. And then also beer.
You know? Right. Exactly. Yeah. Lots of beer. You bring everybody together, have a nice, you do a dad's night out or whatever on it. So, which also too, so that's their thing. So, you know, we've all been kind of keeping away from each other for the most part. A lot of people have been vaccinated, which has been awesome. You know, there's been a big announcement that happened about kids being able to get vaccinated here real soon because the CDC had a unanimous recommendation vote, which I'm sure will be getting signed probably not too long after this is recorded. And so that's exciting. I know I'm going to be getting our kids situated for that. But along with that, on November 6th, which is this up Saturday, so some people might not get to hear this, but on November 6th, there's lots of groups of dads getting together to do what's called Dad's Day Out, which is really cool. Since this is going to air after that, you can at least go check it out. But basically, a lot of the cities in the area are going to be doing an event. So like I was talking with Matt Schneider from City Dads today, and the New York dads are actually going to do like a walk across like the Brooklyn Bridge or something like that, and then like go hang out at some place across the bridge for a good portion of the day.
Oh, cool.
I think the Twin Cities are doing something like that too.
They are. Yep.
I believe they're walking across a bridge as well, which is really neat. And then just kind of hanging out at like a local bar or something like that, or pub. But there's some that are, I think Columbus is doing a hike with the guys and then hanging out somewhere. But just this idea of like getting the dads to come together and do exactly what we're talking about, like what you're talking about, just given a place to have conversations and things. So
yeah,
so that's going to be really exciting. And I think that, you know, it's something where a lot of dads have been just kind of hunkered down, and this is going to give them the opportunity to reconnect with guys that they might not have been able to otherwise. So
yeah, I'm really, really stoked for the vaccine. I mean, I was excited when it came for adults, when we finally had one that we could, you know, that was reliable and all that. And I really, really, really want all my kids to be vaccinated. And my two youngest are still too young, you know, and there's just nothing we can do about it. And they're so far have been really good here in the area. We've had very few issues. We have no trouble, but they're still going to school every day, you know, they're being careful. They're, you know, they come home smelling like hand sanitizer, and their masks have definitely been worn all day because they're disgusting, and which is great. That's the way they should be. But I think everybody's kind of just a little tired, if not just straight out exhausted from all of this, you know, so having the opportunity to do it. And I really like the idea of Dad's Day Out, just to, even if it's just once a year, you know, because we've talked in the past, and I know we've said it within the organization in the network page and what have you, but the feeling you get from Home Dad Con, you know, that brotherhood of fatherhood. And there's just something you get talking to other dads that, especially when they're open and they're, you know, like we're all kind of fun guys. I think we're all kind of open and ready to go. And we talk about our kids and all that stuff because it's such a big part of our life. But getting to hang out with people like that, and then moving it to maybe twice a year, you know, the other side of the year, like as an example, Dad's Day Out. That's another chance to just go hang out with the guys and, you know, say, hey, how are your kids? Especially if it's local guys, because you might actually get your kids together, which I think is awesome. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, like there's so many different ways that you can do it. Like I think it's Columbus not Columbus, Charlotte, Charlotte, North Carolina. They're going to be doing like a Habitat for Humanity type of thing. And my group did that a few years back.
Very cool.
And you know, most communities have Habitat for Humanity. And so it's not hard to call them up and say, hey, like, you know, do you have an opening? I think you can even go online. I believe that's what I did, and just looked for an opening that worked. But you don't have to have a ton of skills, honestly. I mean, if you can swing a hammer, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge
a wrench.
But I mean, it's, if you're willing to be helpful, like that's all it takes. Also too, I mean, everybody's got parks departments. I mean, you know, things need painted or cleaned up, you know, cleaned up or whatever it is. And so reaching out, doing that, I mean, just a way to like get together and do something. I mean, even if it's just like your local school, like, hey, what can we do to help out, you know, kind of deal. But those are the kind of things that a lot of people kind of overlook sometimes. I mean, you could go as far as the guys who are down in Louisiana, that was on the news here recently. Man, those guys, I tell you what, I'm really hoping that we get them to come to Home Dad Con. There's a campaign going on to make that happen. But
that'd be cool.
And Sergio actually crossed paths with them coming through the airport, actually.
Yeah, I read that.
I think it was JFK or something like that. So that was pretty neat. But yeah, I mean, just to see a need like that and step up and say, hey, like I'm going to commit, and all these other dads are like, I'll commit too, to just being involved and being a presence around kids who maybe they don't have dads that are present or whatever it is. And so
we'll tell the story though, because there may be somebody that hasn't seen that. I mean, I can kind of
fill in the blanks while I pull it up so that I don't stumble over it.
No. Well, the biggest thing was that it was just their kids were in school, and that fights kept breaking out. There was a lot of violence that kept happening in school. There were kids that were fighting, and there's video of it, you know, a lot of news stories coming up. And basically the dad said, yeah, well, that's enough of that. And they all went to the school. and they're all wearing the same shirt, which I can't remember.
It says dad's on duty.
Dad's on duty. Yes. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Dad's on duty.
And you see them and they're standing in a line from the front doors. And there's just like every 10 feet, there's another dad. And they're just, hey, how are you? You know, high fiving people and you're looking good. You're running fast, or, hey, you know, like that backpack or whatever. And just being the dad that you are. And I love this more than almost anything else. Is one of the students was like, well, what do you think about these? Like, well, it's fine, except for all the dad jokes. And I'm like, is it really fine?
Yes.
Is it that it wasn't?
Yes.
Like, they're always just they're fine.
Well, they
jokes,
make them laugh.
But
they
that's
said
it.
They said no negativity. Positivity is what enters the building. And I mean, this all happened because basically 23 students were arrested in a rash of fights is what it ended up coming out.
Students, wow.
23 students. Yeah. And so the dads went in and basically asked permission to start the group. And I mean, what school wouldn't say no to that? And so, they jumped in and started doing their thing, and they've made a huge impact on the community and on the kids there. I mean, I love the video, and I'll post a link so that everybody can see the video of these guys and what they do. But the smiles on the kids' faces, and yes, the eye rolls that come from the dad jokes as they're coming through, and just the joshing around that takes place and everything as they're coming through the hallways is just. It's the stuff that I do when I go to lunch duty. It's the things that I hear other dads, talk about when they get involved at a school, that they just, they poke fun at the kids or whatever. And these kids are older. I mean, these are high school kids for crying out.
High school kids.
So to get reactions out of them and to, get to the place where they feel loved, that these adult, men would want to even do this. It says a lot. I would love to, like 20 years from now, see the impact that it has on the kids that are in there. Yeah.
And if you look at it too, for kids that go through school and that don't have a father figure.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times the issue that it comes with, with if it's lower grades, or it's just less participation, or if it's getting in trouble and getting into fights.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this at the convention. Actually, a lot of times there's been a lot of statistics and science behind it, where having a father in the house really helps. Having an involved father really helps. So if you think these kids going to school and their own dad may not be there, my personal experience, my dad wasn't around. My stepdad was kind of a monster. So if I'd had someone at the school where I'd gone in and they were basically cracking dad jokes, I could have done so much better, I think.
Yeah.
And really just a little moment of, hey, I see you. I understand you're here. I'm glad you're here, and that's so good for a child.
The thing that I always go back to in my memory every time I hear stories like this or see things like this is meeting Kenneth Kellogg at Dad 2.0 and hearing him talk about, here is a Black man who comes from like the ghetto of Washington, D.C. And now he's this amazing opera singer. And people are like, how did that happen? Like, how did those pieces fit together? And he just basically says, like, I had a father who was around.
Yeah.
And he's like, I had friends who didn't have fathers who were around, and they're in prison, or they had a really rough life or whatever it is. And what I love even more is the fact that in his story, he talks about how he had these guys that he grew up with who did go through hard knock lives, like basically like didn't even go to the opera or know what it was. And at one of his very first shows, he invited them all to come, and they just caused so much trouble because he got them like front row seats, which was hilarious. But I mean, they were just like, your friend, you bring them to like a play or something like that. And if you're the one on stage, they're going to do everything in their power to get you to screw up your lines.
Right.
And they were down there just like being completely goofy, and they didn't know how to act at an opera too, which was the other part of it. But it's just this whole idea of, depending on how you're brought up and the things that you have or don't have in your life are really going to dictate how adulthood can be for you. And so I think it's awesome that the Dads on Duty is taking place at this school. And honestly, like there was a guy in my dad's group that posted it before I even did, and was just like, this is amazing. Can we do this here in town? I'm like, dude, just get with the dads in your school and do it. Like,
Yeah,
I
just
don't need to
go.
be a part of it. They
Right.
always look to me because I'm like the guy I'm like, I am so burnt out on organizing things right now. Like, I don't want anything to do with it. And but at the same time, like, I would love to see stuff like that. We have dads on campus actually at our school, and they try to stay active in things. But I think, yeah, a lot of the schools around here need dads in the schools to do that exact same thing. And if it just means maybe going into work a little bit later, or it means, you know, for the stay-at-home dads, like, you get somebody to watch your little kids so that you can go and do it, then awesome. Like, make it happen. Because you know, if you see the impact that one school is having, or that's happened at that one school, it happens at all of them if you just get involved.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's, I mean, it was so inspiring to see that.
It is.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys, really. And just for taking the initiative and doing the job.
Yeah.
You know, you see a problem, you go fix it. And that to me is very dad too.
Yeah.
You know, that's very much, we need to go do this now. This is going to go fix this issue. And I guarantee it was the first day and there was a change.
Oh, I bet they saw it immediately.
Yeah. One of the kids on the interview was like, the interviewer was like, well, you know, what is it about him? You know, what is it doing? And the young lady, she looks at the guy interviewing. She's like, you ever seen the dad stare? And I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen the dad. I'm given the dad stare now that I think about it. And you could just see it even in high school. Kids understand, you know, no, this is the line and I'm standing on this line. And it's not a threat of violence. It's not I'm going to whoop your butt if you don't do it or anything like that. It's just no, we're not accepting anything past this.
Yeah.
You know, this is as far as you go.
I gave that stare to a kid that I know at school in the lunchroom, because he was running around the lunch table, and I got him. I was like, sit down, and he sits down and he looks at me, and I was like, you know better. I know your parents and everything. Like, we go to church together. And I walked away and I turned around. He was about to do something, and I was just like, and he just kind of sat back down.
Yep.
So I'm like, I think, yeah, that is a arsenal that is not
right.
You unsheathe that weapon when you need to from time to time. So, but yeah. So coming up against the end of things for the show here. But for next week, I'm not going to be here because I'll be in recovery, and I'm probably not going to feel all that great to be behind a microphone. But you have a special guest coming on.
Yep. Have what I would consider a really good friend of mine, a long-term blogger, basically. He's a great writer. He's written so many things. He's done some amazing things with his life, just on TikTok and with his puppet too, which I don't know.
He's Scatter Monster, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay. Yeah. Nice.
And just great. I love
that. I'm not going to get to talk to him.
I love reading what he writes and whatever. And I've told him for years, I wish I could meet you. It's like we're brothers. I really wish that you and I could just hang out. And it was really funny. He finally got a chance to go down to Atlanta, because he was going to the Center for Puppetry Arts, and that's Atlanta has a huge, you know, puppet mecca kind of thing. And I knew it from as a kid, because we used to go down there and see puppet shows. And it was right after I moved, and I went, man. But anyhow, that his name is Scotty Schreier, and he has agreed to come on next week, and I am really looking forward to it. And we're going to talk about mental health.
Nice. So, yeah. He's a good one to talk about that for sure.
Agreed.
But I will, in the meantime, we'll put in the show notes the link for his TikTok, which is Scatter Monster. Oh my gosh, he's so funny. Yes. He does some really good stuff with that. So, and there's some great puppetry stuff on there, but I really like his stuff. So that's exciting. And then the episode after that will be our 50th and our 1 year anniversary. We're still trying to figure out exactly what we want to do with that. Yeah, I will be on for that show. So we'll figure something out for that. And yeah, I'm excited. Things are coming, you know, up here to the 1 year mark, and it's been a good year.
It really has.
Through everything it's been a good year. I'm glad we started this. It's been very therapeutic for both of us, and
absolutely. Yeah.
And hopefully it has been for everybody else that's been listening. We met a lot of listeners at Home Dad Con. I had so many people come up and be like, I listened to the show, and it was just like, awesome. That is so cool.
Right.
Like,
I didn't know what to say. I was just like, oh my
I
God,
know.
I'm just gonna get all giddy now and be dumb
Yeah.
and I can't talk.
I think the greatest compliment I got was from a new attendee who said that they'd listened to the how to set your spouse up for success, and they said that was very helpful for them. And so, to me, when I hear people say, "Hey, like this episode helped me in this way" or whatever, like that's what gives me the fuel to continue doing this. So, yeah,
You're here.
Good stuff. But anyway, so like I said, we'll have all kinds of links in the show notes for you to be able to see everything. Oh yeah, the one other thing I will let you know, Hogan Hilling did come back up here on Monday, and he did sign my book for me.
Yeah.
And so I did get that, which is really
Hogan's
cool.
the man.
And I baited him up here a little bit too with a 6-pack of beer from some of the local breweries here in town. So we traded signatures for beer. So it was a good trade off.
Worth it, definitely.
Yeah. But so he came too. So I just wanted to let everybody know that who listened to the last episode. So, but yeah, we'll catch y'all next week. Be Scotty and Danny, and then the week after that, it'll be me and Danny back on to celebrate 1 year of Home Dad Chat podcast. So, have a good week, and we'll talk to y'all All right. We'll talk to y'all real soon.
Real soon. Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.